here we are. Another week, another Palace Confidential. The show that never tells the whole story or the whole truth, where the royals will always come out on top. And we will keep that fairy tale like storytelling. And for every fairy tale, there must be a villain. The evildoers in Montecito, no matter what they do or don't do, they will be painted with the brush of hate, disdain, and right out evil. But let's not fool ourselves. Palace Confidential is the purveyor of hate and evil. But Palace Unfiltered, it's here to step into the ring, gloves off, voice cleared, truth shining like morning light after a long storm. Let's expose the week's performance from Palace Confidential with our journalistic or maybe not so journalistic. Hey, I'm just some guy on YouTube. Commentary rooted in justice, media literacy, and cultural clarity. Yeah, should we do it? Let's do it. And here we are, the four most informed people in all. What? What? Not four? What's the matter? Oh, oh, oh. Where is Charlotte Griffiths? Is she late? We can hold for her. What? Bloody, can someone just come and tell me what's going on? All right. She was. Well, that's no reason not to have her back. Commentary? What bloody commentary? Of course I don't. I don't watch this stupid show. I just tell them to say whatever's on the bloody script. What kind of commentary is there? And the palace is not happy. She's not on. Not at all. Oh, but she's written a scathing article. All right, about whom? Meghan. Meghan Markle. Wonderful. Well, hopefully she'll be back on next week. I'm very fond of her. Because the other two, God, goodness, gosh. And that other one, they just drive me up a wall. All right, well, she's going to try. But you know what they say. You know what they say. You don't know? Well, they say, if you buy a mattress without a headboard, you get your head hit against the wall. No, that's not what they say. No, okay. Um, um, um. If you buy, no. I think it's if you sleep. If you sleep, that's it. That's it. If you sleep with a camel, you wake up with a mistress. No, it's not it. All right. I keep getting this wrong. What is it? I never remember. Sometimes certain things just so difficult. Oh, I remember. If you sleep with a horse, you wake up with a Camilla. Oh, not funny. What do you mean it's funny? It's rather funny. Oh boy. Am I not going to be invited back next week to do the voiceover? Otherwise, well, thank you. Can you make sure the money gets into my bank account? Well, thank you. Thank you. All right. I guess this is it for me. Well, well, well. And there you have it. There you have it. Charlotte Griffith briefly questioned the anti Sussex line and then just poof, disappears. Disappears. 1 week. One whisper of doubt. One suggestion that maybe, just maybe, Harry and Meghan aren't cartoon villains. And what happens to Charlotte Griffith? Disappeared from the show, uninvited. Reinstated only through an article demonizing Meghan. That, my friends, is not editorial freedom. That is editorial punishment. And this is where I want to get to. You see, this show, Palace Confidential, it's no show that is balanced and equal and any of that. It's the mouthpiece of the palace. That is it. Because let's start with their thumbnail. Now, they could have said many things because they had several stories. They could have said, as an example, what drove Catherine to smash a bottle? Why didn't King Charles' cancer get top billing? So, why did they use Meghan? Oh, Meghan Markle gave the palace the ick. And if you'll notice, they have the Queen's, the late Queen, image there. And of course, it's a side profile, as if she was looking at Meghan in disapproval. And those that have peanuts as brains will chew it up, swallow it up, and love it. Absolutely love it. You see, that is their intention. But they don't use the other suggested titles that they could have used for their thumbnail because the other people don't bring in the money. The cash cow, the golden vessel for money that pays all of their salaries and keeps this nonsense and this charade still going, has a name. And the name is Meghan Markle, also known as Meghan Sussex and the Duchess of Sussex. But that is Palace Confidential. Here at Palace Unfiltered, where we watch that show, so you don't have to, but also because we read between the lies, not the lines, the lies. Let me make this clear. They are the ones that gave journalism the ick. Really. I mean, because this is not reporting, not even, not, not even the start. It's monetized misogyny, grown in British sarcasm and embroidered with tabloid vitriol. And it's profitable, baby. Oh, yeah. Profitable, profitable, profitable. Meghan Markle pays the bills, not with consent, but through pure obsession. Now, let me just get to the person on the panel that keeps reminding us that they're a journalist. And that would be what I would call the journalist without a compass. You know, without a direction, not quite sure. The ethical conflict of interest and narrative control is amazing, extraordinary, that comes out of Madame Rebecca English, the Daily Mail royal correspondent. Now, she presents herself, or they present her, as an insider. Now, as an insider, she is so embedded. She may as well just wear the crest of the Windsor. But journalism, by any credible standards, the NUJ code or the SPJ code, oh, let me tell you what those are. The NUJ code is the National Union of Journalists Code of Conduct, which outlines ethical principles for journalists. And the SPJ code is the Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics, a similar set of guidelines for ethical journalism. Or I would say, or even basic integrity. Demands independence and fairness and truth. When you report on people you love, that you absolutely just love them, you just hate them, and then dine with the people you protect, you're not a journalist. You're a courtier. You're a courtier with a keyboard and a show. That's what you are. So perhaps stop calling yourself a journalist and a fair one, because none of you are. Nothing about your show is fair and balanced. It's propaganda, and you know it. So perhaps just say you are a journalist by profession. That's it. You don't follow any codes at all. Because those of us that don't have peanut in our brain, we see you. We see you. And this story is all about love. We call it Catherine, the ship, the bottle of whiskey, her husband, separate cars, arrival, mumble. Should I stop? I'll stop.
Rebecca, you were very much missed last week, so everyone will be glad to see you here. We'll kick things off with some breaking news. You'll see what I did there. That Catherine, Princess of Wales, has gone wild with a bottle of whiskey. Should we be worried?
She has. In fact, I should be up there today, but I've decided not to go so I can talk to you guys.
Oh, good.
It's a royal first actually for Catherine. She is naming her first ship. I'm not sure if other people around the world do this, but here we like to smash a bottle of something alcoholic against the side of it to do it.
I imagine it's very satisfying. I've never had the opportunity.
If it goes right.
Yes.
It's not gone right always for the royals.
Yeah.
And because she's in Scotland, it's going to be a bottle of whiskey. So she's naming HMS Glasgow, which is a new submarine frigate. Big deal because there's been obviously a lot of employment around the ship in the Glasgow shipyards. So a big deal for her. So she's going up to that.
Do they use a really expensive bottle of whiskey? I imagine that breaks a few hearts.
I kind of hope not. It just seems such a waste, doesn't it?
Well, it's a specific kind of whiskey that money will be going to one of her charities from the whiskey being sold.
Oh,
so
nice.
There's a nice touch.
Oh, we love that. Well, Richard,
Yes, I mean, this comes just a few weeks after her trip with Prince William to the Isle of Mull, wasn't it? And you were with them.
Oh, Rebecca remembers.
Yeah, so clearly she's not insisting on just doing jobs, close to London or the home county. She's, going to all ends of the country, and that's great. And just, it's good to see her carrying out those engagements, and particularly, breaking new ground with the one today. So lovely to see.
We love that. Well,
morning friends, happy Friday. It's a bank holiday weekend in the UK, which means we get Monday off as well. So it's a 3-day weekend, the sun is shining, life is good. Apart from the cost of living crisis, exorbitant interest rates and the other stuff that we all know is happening in the UK. Get to the point, Martin. Kate was out and about working in Scotland yesterday, smashing a bottle of whiskey against a new military ship, literally launching it into the ocean. And I've got to say, I think she looks quite well turned out. But the press haven't been particularly kind to Kate because she literally fluffed the lines when launching the ship. Her elocution is really, really poor. Her intonation is poor, and it was very mumbly. She literally had to say, I named this ship X, God bless her and all that's sailing her, and she couldn't even get that right. I don't know what's going on with the lady, I really don't. Also, GB News reported that her and William was also in Scotland to do something else, and he was at this ceremony too. They travelled up there separately, despite their engagements starting at the same time. Seems like a bit of a CO2 issue, funding problem. Seems expensive to transport people separately, going to the same place for events that start at the same time. But what do we know? We're assured by the British media that everything is hunky-dory in the land of Kate and William's marriage. So I guess that must be true, right? Obviously. Comments are open. Have a brilliant Friday. Let me know what you think.
So, and now as we know the other side of what really happened, as I said, they do not tell the full story, they just tell whatever fits into their narrative, because they are propaganda, promoters of hate and evil. So should I take away these singing birds and butterflies now that we know the truth and it wasn't all hunky-dory as Rebecca English and Ricardo would like us all to believe? Do I need to say anything about this? I don't think so. I think everything has been said. What I do find quite curious, though, is that William is repeating exactly almost the same path as his father. Diana arriving in one car, Charles arriving in the other, then they get into the same car, so pretend like they were. You get my drift. Let's see what's up next.
The fabulous kind of flowing robes, which I think he looked pretty magnificent in, I have to say.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Richard, we talked a lot about how William, not the biggest fan of all the sort of ancient traditional robes and big plumes and that. But I even said on our little Palace WhatsApp group that there was this stunning photo where I thought he looked like something really majestic is the word, isn't it? And really historic.
Yeah, it's one of those photographs that's almost like a painted portrait. Yes. It was very sort of magisterial, very regal. And I think, that shows the sort of majesty of monarchy. You need images like that, because if it was just Prince William in his usual, lounge suit or whatever, there's nothing to differentiate him from any other man on the street.
Yeah.
But I think with these robes, it's sort of like, yes, it's a 300-year-old order, but it shows that continuity and that respect for history.
And I would say what was particularly special about this is I go to a lot of these kind of events at Westminster Abbey, and they're all amazing, but they are often quite big. The Order of the Bath wasn't. It's quite a small congregation there, and it felt really special, really personal. And the actual installation ceremony takes part in a private part of the Abbey, but we could see it on screens for the first time. I don't think that bit was actually broadcast. And so there's incredible little gestures between the King and William, and you can see how proud the King was that he was following his footsteps. And at one point, William has to kind of unsheath the sword, hold it up like that, sheath it again, hold it up, sheath it again. It was really, really special.
Like Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah. Well, I think when I do it, it does, but when he did it looked a bit more kingly.
I thought you were going to say that this private business ceremony had a bath, but
yeah.
no.
Oh, Richard. He's excited about something private and taking a bath later? Richard, don't be so obvious. In the sacred theatre of Palace Confidential, where spin masquerades as insight and pageantry is paraded as proof, we are once again treated to a familiar performance, the elevation of Prince William. Or should we say, the preparation of King William? I mean, come on, people. They drape him in robes, heavy with history, thick with expectation, and declare him majestic, regal, magisterial, as if the cloth alone could crown a man. They spoke breathlessly of how Prince William, not usually a fan of big plumes, of course not, or ancient rituals, looked transformed. Majestic is the word. They said even kingly. I sigh. And then, like gospel, they repeated the ritual. Robe, sword, shaft, repeat, road, sword. Okay, I'll stop that. One must ask, were they describing an investiture or a coronation rehearsal? This wasn't just coverage. It was almost like a rehearsal, a choreography. Soft music for succession, and in the background, the echoes of something they cannot say aloud. Charles may be king, but William is the future, and perhaps sooner than expected. Dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun. What we witness here was an exercise in narrative engineering, the making of a monarch through optics and flattery. William was not simply attending a centuries old ceremony, he was being positioned. As the cameras panned across velvet and brass, the commentary followed suit. It was like a painted portrait. You need images like that to show the majesty of monarchy. Let's pause for a second. Okay, that was a second. Where was this narrative energy when Prince Harry donned a military uniform he earned, served in war, and returned with trauma and duty in his heart? Where were the painted portraits of that service? Oh, no, 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 no. Not for Harry, the veteran prince. The headlines instead were of disgrace and traitor, attention seeker. But for William, in robes inherited, not earned, The tone is reverent. Masculinity, darling, masculinity. Macho, macho man. You wanna see a macho man? You see, is only celebrated when it aligns with monarchy's script, not when it breaks free from it. Even the absence of Kate was wrapped in velvet. She must have had other things to do, they exclaim. No follow up, no probing, just gentle silence. Well, it was a school day. It was a school week. She was attending to the children. She has other things to do. Because to question why the Princess of Wales was not present at his ceremony meant to showcase her husband's rise would unravel the seamless image of stability and unity.
Rebecca, the King also talked about his health to one fan this week.
Yeah, that last week we were up in Bradford, and during a walkabout, the King spoke to another cancer patient who said to him, "How are you? How are you doing?" And he actually said, "I think I'm now on the better side of my cancer journey."
Wow.
Which I think is great news. It's what, if you want regular viewers of Palace Confidential, which is why you should always watch our programme, we've been saying that for a while, that, it is a positive journey for him. I mean, it would be nice to be able to hear he's in remission, but these journeys are very individual, very...
I am very sorry if I scared any of you, but I had to. I had to sound the alarm. I mean, we can't whisper this stuff. We have to sound the alarm, because what just happened on Palace Confidential wasn't casual commentary. It was an unfiltered disclosure of the monarch's health status by none other than Rebecca English, the Daily Mail's royal editor, presented to the public like tea time trivia. Let's be absolutely clear. It would be nice to be able to hear he's in remission. That's what she said. It would be nice to be able to hear he's in remission. But, you see, that but is the sound of a trapdoor opening beneath the monarchy's tightly guarded narrative. Rebecca English, speaking with the confidence of someone cleared to speak, just said that Buckingham Palace hasn't. King Charles III is not in remission. Weeks ago, British media exploded with righteous indignation when Prince Harry, a son with no direct line to the King's doctors, admitted in an interview that he didn't know the details of his father's health. "I don't know how much time he has left. He's not returning my calls," said the prince. That comment was dissected, denounced, and decried as betrayal, insensitive, and dangerous to the king's privacy or privacy. So ask yourself, what then is this? When the official mouthpiece of the monarchy's media machine casually tells the world that the king is not in remission, that the journey is still active, uncertain, and very personal. Why is there no outrage? Where is the condemnation? Where are the headlines calling her irresponsible? Where are the panels accusing her of politicizing illness? Nowhere is the answer, because it serves their narrative. Simple and easy. It serves their narrative. When Harry speaks, they scream. Oversharing, exploiting his father's illness. When Rebecca English speaks on the king's behalf, how wonderful, how brave, how intimate. This is not journalism. This is gatekeeping with a crown on. Now, let me say the following. There's soft luncheon reality. They're gently, quietly preparing the public for a truth the institution cannot say aloud. That the king is still undergoing treatment. That his role is limited. That William must be ready. And if you connect the threads from Palace Confidential's glowing tribute to William's kingly robes and sword play, sword play. William plays with swords. Oh well. To Rebecca English unsanctioned health update. The message is clear. King Charles is not out of danger. William is being primed, and the institution is bracing for change. Now. This is not just about hypocrisy. This is about how the monarchy uses media to control, sanitize, and drip, drip, drip feed truths while punishing anyone, even a son, who dares speak plainly from a place of love. They punish. So yes, I have sounded the alarms, the bells are ringing, and remember this moment, because they just said what Harry was crucified for suggesting. And they did it with a grin and a script, not a trembling voice and a broken heart. And they crucify Harry. These people are purveyors of hate and evil. Now, for this one, I will not play the soundbite from them. I will just tell you. This basically is Charlotte Griffith's mea culpa, right? She has written this article and they're discussing it. Throwing toys out of the prom. A manufactured myth. Now, let's pay attention here. So, I'm going to start where their latest smear began. The alleged fallout between Meghan and Edward Enninful, the editor-in-chief of British Vogue. Charlotte Griffith, we all know, they've dragged her in the comment section because she had, I don't know, some kind of humanity, compassion, journalistic instinct last week. So now she has to, gain her seat back, come dragging back. Mea culpa, mea culpa. I will never do it again. Look at this article that I've written. She spins a tale about Meghan hoping for a Vogue cover in 2022, tied to the One Young World Summit. She claims that when the cover went to supermodel Linda Evangelista instead, Meghan threw her toys out of the prom and cut ties with Info. Really? Okay. So, let's correct the records a little bit here. Meghan had no personal social media in 2022. So any unfollowing, as they said, oh, and Meghan unfollowed him and he unfollowed Meghan. Unfollowed what? Unfollowed what? So this unfollowing narratives is irrelevant or deliberately misleading. Meghan and Edward relationship was celebrated publicly. Their 2019 Forces for Change collaboration remains British Vogue's best-selling issue in all of its history. No reputable outlet has confirmed this 2022 feud. It's built entirely on anonymous sources, and Charlotte Griffith, well-worn innuendos. And if Meghan had been upset, that doesn't justify character assassination. Male artists fight for covers all the time and are called ambitious. But when a black woman, a black biracial woman, advocates for herself, diva, unreasonable, childish, I am not saying she did. I'm just saying even if she did. Because this doesn't sound at all something like what Meghan would do. This isn't journalism. This is archetyping. You remember that? Okay? Just remember that. And even if there's any slight validity to any of this, my feeling is they're preparing their audience for something. Something is coming about because that monsieur, right, Edward Enninful, I don't know about him. So something is happening and they're trying to position something. I guess we'll find out. Now, mirror, mirror, who's really curating a narrative? Richard Eden then smugly adds that Edward might have Sussex Survivals Club membership. Can you believe that? What is that but a petty, orchestrated jab? A rhetorical ploy to isolate Meghan and Harry, to paint them as toxic and unwanted. And they say they're fair and balanced and they're journalists. Let's be clear about some things. Meghan is not isolated. She's building global partnerships, speaking at international forums, landing ethical businesses, and collaborating with powerhouse media brands like Netflix, Times. The only people curating tight inner circles are the royal rota and their shrinking cabal of loyalists, terrified of irrelevance, because you all are irrelevant. Now, the mood board. The mood board and manipulation. Richard Eden, oh baby, baby. Baby said he did not know what a mood board was. He had never heard the word before. A mood board. Listen, it's a possibility. I am not going to judge. Okay? All right. So then came the mockery. The mockery over Meghan's wedding anniversary mood board. They laughed at a digital tribute to love and motherhood. They feign ignorance of what a mood board is, despite it being a common creative expression used by almost everyone from stylists to architects to graphic designers at the freaking Daily Fail. But most galling of all, they never once mentioned the real abuse Meghan received during both her pregnancies. Tabloid speculation on whether her baby bump was real or not, accusations she used a prosthetic, comments about her body language, the way she held her belly, her intention behind even the way she walked. And in the Oprah interview, Meghan told us plainly that a senior royal questioned the potential skin tone of her unborn child. And yet, when she shared a personal ultrasound image years later, it's mocked as hypocrisy. No, that's not hypocrisy. That's reclamation. Reclamation. Learn the word. That's a woman taking back her narrative from a system that tried to humiliate and erase her and her children. And her children. Oh, you think it was so disgusting and gauche that she showed a picture of her belly? Her naked belly? And royals would not be saying to him that ever. A real royal will never do that. I didn't hear, didn't watch, didn't read, didn't see people questioning Catherine's pregnancy or not. But the world is so used to questioning black women, aren't they? Of course, Beyonce wasn't pregnant either. All of this, the odd resurgence of this 2022 Vogue tale, the focus on William's kingly appearance, the soft confirmation of Charles' continuing illness, it's part of a broader orchestration. They're readying the public. Whether for a change in power, a coronation style elevation of William, or a redirection of media energy away from Charles' declining visibility, these narratives are being lined up like dominoes. And Meghan, she's the decoy. Always the decoy. They will keep dragging her because she's profitable. She's principled. And she left them with her dignity intact. Did you hear that? With her dignity intact.
And the wealthier.
I think you must be referring to an annual event, which is the Sunday Times Rich List.
Yes.
This is a sort of list of the richest people in Britain, but I have to sort of note of caution, without casting aspersions at all. It is made up of guesswork. Like, no one really knows.
Well,
some rich
educated
people
guesswork.
contact them wanting to be in this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And others do not want to be in it. So there are lots of rich people who are not even in it. But anyway, the line about King Charles was that his private wealth has increased by, they claim, about £30 million over the course of the year. And this seems to be due to sort of private investments, they said. And this makes him richer than his mother, Queen Elizabeth, ever was.
Wow.
But, you know, it's not clear whether that's true. And if it is, it's likely to be just a reflection of rising property values, which affect anyone who owns property.
Well, I mean, even speculative stories about it might attract some less than positive headlines, you would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you want to say the royal family are very rich, which they are, and then there's the discussion about private wealth and money they receive from taxpayers, from the state, which is a sort of separate question.
Indeed. Well, Rebecca, he can't really do much about how much he is funded, though, can he?
Well, yeah, and this is important to note that this rich list inclusion is on his private wealth, so it's money he's inherited from various family members over the years, because, again, it's a topic of debate in this country that the royal family aren't subject to inheritance tax like, you know, the man on the street is. And it also includes their private estates like Sandringham, Balmoral, places like that, which, yes, do make them a very, a wealthy and privileged person. But of course, would they ever sell them? Probably not. Yeah. And this is very separate from the funding, which I can imagine we'll speak a lot more about in a couple of weeks' time, because we have probably one of my worst days of the year, which is the annual review, which means we go through all their finances and the finances to come. And I'll be honest, maths is not my strongest suit. I much prefer creative things like that. But you get a chance to see how much they're publicly funded and what they spend that money on, and that is very different from what's included in the rich list.
Okay.
But,
Mama, have you heard what I'm hearing here? Are you listening, Mama? Because I think we must do something to help the poor king. I think we should do some collections at church today. We should get some collections. Maybe we can get the township to donate some money to the poor king. He's got no money. I'm so worried about this. Mama, where's my mama? Really? Oh, what a dance they do. Spinning gold out of speculation and silk veils over scandal. Let's call this segment what it I can't even speak. How ridiculous this is. We're calling this segment The King is Not Rich. They want us to believe that King Charles' recent appearance on the Sunday Times Rich List with an estimated of £610 million in personal wealth is somehow uncertain, as if it were based on fairy dust and fortune cookies. Yes, guesswork, they say. It's not clear. They warned us. Likely just, rising property values. They assure us. What the charade. Charade. Oh my, oh my, oh my. On this week's episode of Palace Confidential, the line was clear. Yes, the king is rich, but not that rich, and it's not his fault. He can't really do much about how much he is funded. These are just private estates like Sangrium and Balmoral. I mean, it's inherited wealth, and they don't pay inheritance tax like the rest of the commoners. Like, I get that, but still, he's not liquid. You see, he doesn't really have money. It's just he is he's property rich, but not rich. You know, like cash rich. Do they hear themselves? Do they hear themselves? A man who owns two private estates worth hundreds of millions, who profit from mineral rights, luxury rentals, and public service leases, is being painted as a helpless beneficiary of generational land wealth, as if he just stumbled upon a fortune in a forest and now must carry this burden of castles and coronets. Here's what they aren't saying. But guess what? Channel 4 did say it. Seems like no one paid attention. The king, the prince, and their secret millions. King Charles receives rents from the NHS, including £829,000 annually from Guy's and St. Thomas for storing electric ambulances on Duchy of Lancaster land. The Duchy of Lancaster has a 70-year lease with a mining company in the North York Moors. While the king proclaims to be, environmental, green values, he owns this mining. There are so many environmental concerns around this whole mining company thing. These estates are tax exempt. There is no mandatory inheritance tax, no corporation tax, no capital gain tax, and still, the Sunday Times said Charles is now richer than Queen Elizabeth II ever was. So the question isn't, is Charles rich? The question is, why are they pretending he is not? They tell us Sangrium and Balmoral are private, so we should separate those from his public duties. But let's follow the logic. Those properties are maintained by income tied to royal privilege. They generate commercial revenue through rents, farming, events. They are symbolically and politically protected by public defense and state resources. There is no real separation. It's all part of the same gilded machine where wealth accumulates silently while austerity screams across the country. What will be the next pivot? Prince William is looking to slim down the monarchy, they say. A PR favorite. But They've now realized a smaller monarchy can't justify the vast real estate and cash flow. So, what's the fix? Oh, guess what's the fix? William is seeing the value of his cousins now. Oh, they weren't value before. None of them. They're stepping it up. Zara. I can't continue. Sarah, Tyndall, Beatrice, and Eugenie. It's an exciting time, says Richard Eden. Exciting time, he wrote in some article. Exciting for who? The truth is, this isn't about slimmed down monarchy. It's a reshuffled loyalty program designed to protect land, prestige, and wealth under the illusion of modernity. I freaking love how Rebecca English, math is not really but we go through older expenses with a very thin, fine comb, and you have to justify everything to us. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, Becky, Rebecca, darling. Rebecca, darling. Seems like the smaller you get, no, don't go there. Don't go there. I will not. I will not. What kind of idiot they take the people? Well, oh well. What am I saying? Palace Confidential has close to 500,000 people who've subscribed to it. So I guess. When they whisper that Charles is not rich, or that his wealth is just the rising with the property market, what they're really doing is inoculating the public. They want you to stop asking questions, and that happens every single week, about how he got that land. And it isn't taxed. Who maintains it? And whether you could ever aspire to that kind of fortune. You see, the week before, there was a question about why is it that the employees at the castles and at the palaces are paid so little? Someone raised that question. And the following week, they quickly clarify that. Well, you see, we got a wonderful letter written to us by a Sir Benjamin Baccioni Catatoni Wolfer Wilson Harcheva Nextiga Indigino Black Country Worcestershire. And he said, I worked for the royal household in many years ago, and I had an unfortunate accident, and it what the palace did for me is that they paid for all of my health care, and I wanted to go back to work, you see, and no, they would not have it. They said, no, we want you to recuperate. We want you to be all right. Your health is absolutely important, number one criteria. So you stay where you are. We will. They were so kind. They made sure I had a wheelchair and I had an assistant. You see, I had a wonderful. I think her name was Mary. Was her name Mary? I don't know. I don't quite remember. But did I ever work for the household? I did. Did I not? What? Yes, I did. I worked for the household. When did I get sick? Was I in hospital? Ward? Read what's in front of. Oh, okay. Yes, and I know I was treated so generously. So you see, the pay, the pay that we receive is very adequate. Is very adequate because you see, more than the pay, what we get is a family. We get a family. We are treated as family, and if anything happens to us, they take care of us. They take care of us. And also, it's a nice way to get into the government jobs. And then once you're in the government job, you can connect back to the palace. So, you know, I know that we say there's no interference between the palace and the government, but it's kind of like a rotating, rotating kind of. What? Shut up now. What? Who said that? Who said take the mic away? What why are you taking the mic away? What a performance that was, wasn't it? Oh, baby Jesus. What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? Okay, don't tell me. Well, we don't have another hour, okay? It's incredible, is it not? Stop questioning them. Every week, if something odd pops up, oh, there's Palace Confidential to smooth it over, to give you a reason and excuse. Why? It's inherited power protected by a press machine that insults our intelligence while pretending to inform. And most of us see right through it. Right through it. Pathetic. Isn't it amazing, though? Isn't it amazing? All the stuff that's uncovered. Investigation Channel 4 8 and all of that. No mention of that. Not at all. Gosh. If that's what they want, that's what they want. If that's what the British people want, that's what they want. Who are we? Who are we to say otherwise? My only thing is, I wouldn't be doing this if they just leave Harry and Meghan and the kids out of their bloody show. Because every darn week is the same thing. Some story, something said, and it's just year after year, week after week. They have to use the woman that they hate so much in order to make them money. In order to make them money. Once again, on the backs of black and brown people, the English make their money. On the backs of black and brown people, the British make their money. And all these in media making their money off of the back of a black biracial woman. That's how they make their money. They showed us robes and called it majesty. They whispered inheritance and called it misfortune. They spun absence into loyalty, silence into sacrifice, and wealth into myth. This week on Palace Confidential, we saw the full choreography, a well-rehearsed performance, softening the public for a transition they haven't yet announced, but are already scripting. A kingly William, a healing Charles, and Meghan, once again, the lightning rod for their deflection and decay. But what they will never say, and what we will never stop saying, is this: you can wrap injustice in ermine, but it's still injustice. Meghan was never the problem. She was the disruption to a system allergic to self-reflection. She came with clarity, with purpose, with light, and the institution and its mouthpieces have tried to smother that light ever since. We won't let them. We will tell the truth when they trade in fiction. We will question when they offer spectacle. And we will remember not what they want us to forget, but what they fear we will understand. Because history is not theirs solemnly to write. It belongs to those bold enough to speak it out loud. And we will continue speaking out loud. So, my dear friends, until next time, this is Palace Unfiltered, where the curtain falls and the truth begins. Take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to your loved ones. Bye for now.